I want to hear his. I want to hear
Okay,
what his.
okay. So
Let's wrap
listen,
it
they
up. Let's wrap it up.
And then Odie
okay.
can go as
So
well.
okay. So again,
Take it.
now
You
they're
talk. Now
getting
we
to the
back to the
point.
conversation. Go ahead, talk, brother.
All right, all right. So now we're
Go
finally to
ahead,
the.
cook.
God damn it!
My bad. Go ahead.
Now we're 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 now finally to the point where you're going to be able to go ahead and have all the marketing out there with everything being built. Again, this generation is a wrap for Xbox. They know this. There's no thought about them turning this. It's not going to happen. What they are doing is setting up for that next gen. And again, I know it's all about waiting, right? It is what it is. We're not waiting for games. The games are here now, right? But we're talking about the what Xbox would have had going on had this not been the truth. We don't know yet, but assuming that this goes through, what they're losing is the fact that now they would have been able to market all of this shit come next gen. A brand new person who flips over from PlayStation will have so many exclusives in Game Pass. Plus the fact that they know God, Call of Duty is there. Remember, just like what Beast of Truth was trying to say at the end of the day is that most of the people who buy a PlayStation console are casual, right? Like that's just the fact of the matter.
Facts.
Every PlayStation dude in here knows that they are in the minority compared to how many people own a PlayStation. That's just the reality of it. If that's just the fact. So you know that it's just like we were talking about with these exclusives. The whole point of the conversation was the God of Wars, the Spider-Mans, they get the hardcore in and then they tell their friends. And then the guy who wants to play Call of Duty says, well, my friend plays God of War on PlayStation and maybe he'll play Call of Duty with me on PlayStation. So I'll buy it on PlayStation because they don't fucking know that you can play with Xbox people, right? So that's the whole point of what that was going to be. They were going to be able to market everything and now be able to create that brand recognition when they have actual fucking high quality products that will
Well, you
rival
just proved
what
my point.
PlayStation, the outlook on PlayStation will be. But right
You
now,
just proved
if
my
this is
point.
true,
You want to know what the
well, I
problem is,
know, but
bro?
I'm combining the points, right?
You
Yes,
proved my
marketing is
point.
important, but
Oh
you
no, they're good
need to
points.
have the content to market, and we are getting there now, right? Like they couldn't do it
All
before
right, okay, dude.
because there wasn't shit to market.
Okay, so awesome, dude. Let's give some time to the dude who like writes very long tweets and takes like like writes 5,000 word tweets.
Yeah,
Yeah, Headspace. Yeah, you're right.
I want to
Yeah,
hear
I
what you
was
got
gonna
to say
say.
about it. What do you think? Why did this happen? What was the change of
So first
direction?
thing I was just gonna say on the point about 360, I do think the exclusive played a big factor, right? Because Gears of War, Mass
100%.
Effect, BioShock, like they had banger after banger,
Yeah,
and it was hard to deny the lure, right? I wouldn't say PlayStation really kind of clawed it back till maybe 2009, because if you remember 2009, they had Demon Souls, Infamous, Ratchet and Clank, Uncharted 2, and Killzone 2 all in one year, right? I would say that's kind of the point where the market shift started to trend back the other way. So I would say even if these games singularly don't sell gangbusters, it's a combination of them that can lure crowds and speak to the mindshare, right? So someone else, they made a point. Why now? And they're talking about margins. The thing to consider is in 2017 or just before, Xbox had what, 5 or 6 studios? PlayStation had 11 studios. Today, Xbox is 40 studios. Today, PlayStation is 21 studios. So, in terms of the bottom line and the just the cost to maintain things, right? They have what, 20 something thousand developers now or employees. Their costs are exponentially higher than they ever would. So, if you're talking about margins and viability, sustainability, you cannot have the same conversation today as you had even last year or the year before that or 3 years before that, because suddenly your overhead has dramatically changed, right? That they've just added the biggest publisher in the world. Now I get the point might be, oh yeah, but they're profitable. Well, not necessarily. It depends. After all, you've done all the crunching, the numbers and stuff. If you look at the last quarterly report, which just came out a few days ago, they actually said even though Activision contributed $2.08 billion, there was actually a net loss of $440 million. after all the costs and accounting and things like that. So even with that 2 billion, they actually made a loss off that 2 billion of roughly 500 million, right?
But wasn't that just for this quarter though? Like
It will
that
be
was
this core.
associated with the cost of closing on
Yes,
the
yeah.
deal, right?
The thing is, we won't know exactly because we have to factor in for elimination activities. So, for example, if I just explain it in layman, like if, for example, Activision was paying Xbox a specific licensing fee or paying them for Azure servers or paying them for a particular thing, you can't pay yourself now that you belong to Xbox. So there will always be a discrepancy. They'll have to account for that of revenue doubling. So we'll know roughly in future what the true revenue amount is, but right now they haven't specified it. But yeah, so the margins are very different. On top of that, they had a projection, right? So luckily from the FTC, the leaked documents from the government website, we managed to get quite a lot of insight about the strategy of Microsoft. And one of the interesting things was by the beginning of 2023, they projected to be at 44 million subs. And by 2030, they project to be at 110 million, right?
Yeah, it's a high
But
sum.
by the beginning of 2023, or let's just say October 2022, based on the FTC documentation, they were still at 25 million. If they're at 25 million and the sub projection was 44 million, they're nearly 20 million shy. So in terms of like you calculating your profit and margins and sustainability or whatever, they're a long way off where they want it to be. Even we know the last 3 years from the fiscal year reports, they've missed their annual Game Pass target, growth target, 3 years in a row. And Satya Nadella himself has actually taken a bonus pay
Yes,
cut
I
because
saw
of it.
that. Yeah. Well, they
Yeah,
changed it for him where they said he doesn't have to hit it. Like he can still get his bonus, but they basically
yeah.
they omitted it.
Yeah,
They
they
just said
switched it over to
They
revenue
switched
and
over to
profit.
other things. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. But
after they got
so
Activision. Go ahead.
so why now? I think all it is let's just say their plan or projections or whatever haven't managed to hit. So now they're
exactly.
changing strategy in order to recoup some of the costs, right? Yes, Microsoft is the most successful company in the world. They make $75+ billion of profit a year. But all businesses, the only reason they are where they are is because they are still frugal. They're not a charity. They're not investing indiscriminately. They want to see a return. So if the projections are not matching their internal goals, then they're going to modify the strategy until they get more money. At the end
But
of the day,
I have a counter argument to that actually.
sure.
Um,
Uh,
I
we'll get to that, but Game
yeah.
Pass is basically the exclusive now, is what I would say. So
Yeah.
yes, PlayStation guys buy the games. Like already, you buy games in larger volumes in terms of the multi-plat stuff. So we'll get the money. The revenue will offset Game Pass. The revenue will offset any other investments that we want to make, any other acquisitions that we want to make, and will sustain Game Pass even if the growth isn't at the level they want, right? Because they have influx of additional revenue. So I think that's probably where they are right now. There are a few other things as well that are probably factored in, like for example, Starfield. Interestingly, Starfield is the first game in 8 years that has charted in NPD as an Xbox exclusive. The last one was Gears of War 4 in 8 years. And I posted up to the Jumbotron if people want to see like the performance of exclusives over the last decade. Nintendo in the last decade has had 34 exclusive top charts of NPD. PlayStation has had 16. Xbox has had 4. And one of them was 2023. The previous one was 2016. So I think exclusives do matter. And even though multi-platform games are by far the largest draw, I think exclusives are what differentiate. However, I think what Xbox is seeing based on the data, based on the sales figures, is more and more of their consumers are opting for Game Pass. And Game Pass isn't growing enough to necessarily compensate for the sales side. And if more and more of your consumers are opting to, myself included, like I haven't bought anything on Xbox for a long time. Like I've had Game Pass since 2017. So you might as well go to the side of the aisle that is still buying games, and at the end of the day, that is still going to contribute. I don't like this personally because my fear is that without exclusivity, PlayStation, no one's holding PlayStation's feet to the
And
fire in the
Nintendo.
same way.
Both
And
of them.
Nintendo, yeah,
Well, yeah, like
yeah,
this is what I was gonna
Because they
say.
was horrible back in the day, but go ahead.
yeah,
In terms of
yeah.
business
Yeah,
tactics,
Yeah, but I was going to
tactics.
say one other thing, which is not probably a factor, is this. Phil Spencer talks about like Game Pass PC growth, but console stagnation. And another
Yeah,
interesting data point was Starfield. 70% of Starfield sales were on PC, reportedly from Christopher Dring, right?
yeah.
That means on Steam, those sales, my Xbox were actually losing 30% because Steam take a 30% cut. If they had sold on Xbox, they would have got 100%. So 70% of the sales, they lost 30% of the margin. It's just another interesting thing. Whereas, like, for example, Skyrim, the previous generation, 86% of the sales of Skyrim were on console, only 14%.
dude, I
So it's
get
a
it, dude.
huge,
Well,
I
they
get
did
it,
that
dude.
themselves.
I think you're giving a lot of examples, and I get it. I get it. Like, but this is the problem that I have with your argument. What you're saying is,
Mhm,
oh yeah, like Microsoft is trying to recoup, like, it's trying to recoup sales, it's trying to recoup profitability by like going to other sources, and that
mhm.
I don't blame him for that. I think that makes a lot of sense. The problem is that you either do one or do the other. You go full third party. I've been saying this
I
time
agree.
a ton of times. If you're
Yeah.
gonna go full third party, there is uncapped
Yep.
amount of like profitability. Like seriously, you can
So
make
I have a
enormous.
response for
Wait,
that if you
give
want to
me
hear it.
a
Also,
minute. Give me a
what
Yeah.
the
minute.
fuck is the
You can
Don't
point of
straddle
you
the
Game
can either
Pass?
do
line.
one. You can either
Just
do
pick a
be a
side.
third party, or
Yeah.
be a platform and like actually invest in your platform. Like a platform is not gonna come to you
So
for free. You
so
actually need to like eat up
fair
a
enough.
little bit of
I
investment to like build a
I would
platform where
say
you can actually get.
I don't disagree, but the thing is, there's administrative and in terms of like work, there's variables that you can't just flip a switch overnight and become multi-platform, right? So
Hmm.
say Coalition or 343i, they have enough issues with their own engine, right, and their own tech debt. So suddenly to add PlayStation into the mix as well, whole different API, whole
I
new
agree with
development
that.
kit.
I
Yeah,
agree with
so
that.
they're doing it where they can with the studios that already have
Well,
experience and already have access to
but
dev kits,
here's the thing.
etc.
But at what cost? Here's the thing. I worked for an investments firm, an international investments firm, and I remember I worked in compliance, and I remember that the first thing that the company told us is like it doesn't matter what kind of risk we take. If you see something that has to do with reputational risk, you escalate that to like, the highest tier. You escalate that to the CEO if you need, because
Mm.
reputation, your brand like that to us is the most valuable thing. So if you're gonna be just you're gonna be sacrificing your brand, your reputation, you're gonna be taking a dump on your own reliability over like bonuses for executives or like just like some like profitability in the short term. That's what makes no sense to me. You need to actually have a roadmap and commit to it and actually invest in it and actually allow it some time to grow. The thing is that they are pulling the plug way too early. Like seriously, they have been like contradicting themselves in
Yeah.
less than like
Allegedly.
2 years,
Allegedly.
1 year,
And
2 years. They're
and
not even allowing time
So
for like
allegedly.
no,
for
and
being extremely reactionary.
that's
So
what I meant, or what I was going to with marketing. And m- marketing creates perception, right? And perception is powerful, right? What you can get someone to perceive. For example, the way PlayStation marketed the Harry
okay, you
Potter
already.
game, most people thought it was exclusive to PlayStation. That's what I'm saying about perception and how people perceive things. Microsoft has an issue with that.
Yeah.
Like it
Yeah.
has a
So
really bad issue with that, and they getting outdone. Another
yeah.
example, LeBron James. Majority of time I see LeBron James when he playing the game, he has an Xbox controller in his hand. It was PlayStation that went and got the deal and got a console, a special limited edition faceplate with LeBron James name on it. That's what I'm talking about in terms of the marketing team. And when I look at Xbox marketing team, it's these old people that's not in tune with this young generation.
so
So
see,
how can
money.
you
I
market?
don't disagree with you. The only thing
Yeah,
I
go
would
ahead,
say
go ahead.
is
Yeah.
marketing is always about return on investment, right? Because I hear this same argument from PlayStation cats. They always say, "Oh, why didn't PlayStation market The Last Guardian and what's it called, the one where you fly around, Gravity Rush and stuff like that?"
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
reason they didn't market in them is because they already knew from internal data that it would be a loss leader, right? Certain games sell a lot, certain games don't. So why are you going to spend 50 million on marketing on something that you project to only sell 1 million? You're not
The
going
other
to.
problem,
You're going to keep the
Well,
cost down. So
the
so
other
what I would
problem I
say
have,
is
the other problem I have with your argument is that you're assuming somehow that they have the math right,
oh, we have
that
a
they know what they're
conversation
doing.
here.
When
no.
in
I'm not
reality,
Come on.
no,
assuming.
no, 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 no.
I don't know. I'm
Give
not.
me a minute. Give me a minute. Give me a
I
minute.
don't have a
You're trying.
crystal ball.
Give me a minute.
I'm
Give me a minute.
just yeah.
You're assuming that they have made calculations that make sense for Microsoft. In reality, in the past, they have had a very long history of actually getting it wrong, of
Yeah.
actually miscalculating. They have a long history of that. So you're trying to tell me that they're doing all this for profitability because this is the best for the company. I disagree, man. You're not gonna sell me the idea that this is the best for them because in reality, they have done a lot of things that have actually ruined
Yeah,
them.
but wouldn't you say the strategy that you want with, say, exclusives and the platform-centric strategy, would you not say that is what they've done for the last over a decade?
I would say what I'd say is that, like in reality, like since the beginning of this generation, they have done a lot of miscalculations. They said that they were gonna launch with Halo Infinite, that did not materialize. In reality,
Mm.
they showed a demo that like looked really bad. Like the whole way that the whole way that they promote
How
Halo Infinite,
stupid can
the
they
whole
be,
way that
man?
they did the development, that was a miscalculation. Phil
Yeah.
Spencer said live that internally they thought that Redfall would score
And,
higher than they
and
did.
that
So
Mm.
they
goes back to
miscalculated
the
that as well.
reputation thing you was talking about.
Like
They
exactly. So
just
if you're
tone
trying to
deaf.
tell me that if you're trying to tell
They
me that
just
they're trying to
tone
do this
deaf.
for profitability because they did the numbers and this is absolutely gonna work for them, dude, like I have a
Yeah. So
serious doubt on that
one
one.
thing
I
one
think they
thing to
miscalculated.
remember about these discussions, right, is they can have a projection. It doesn't mean they're going to meet the target. So
Yeah.
maybe you
They're
guys are
absolutely not
right.
gonna meet it,
Yeah.
dude.
Yeah,
No, I agree with that.
maybe
Like
this
I was one
strategy
of the
could be
people.
wrong. We don't know. All I'm
Like no,
saying
no,
is
no.
they're
We do.
trying a different
That's the
strategy
thing.
to the one
That's
they've
the
done
thing, dude.
before.
That's the thing, dude. We do. Like we everybody unanimously told Xbox a mile away, like months before, that they shouldn't release Redfall. Like they should absolutely delay
How
it.
did you
We told
think?
them
Yeah,
that,
I agree with
and
that.
and
I
we
agree
were
with that.
not,
Yeah.
and we were involved in the QA like process of that. We all knew that. So if you're trying to tell me, no, let's give me the benefit of the doubt, like dude, like that's gonna be too late when they like shoot themselves in the foot. And I think in reality, you should give them feedback right now because a lot of what they're doing does not make sense. You cannot
Yeah.
sell me the idea that it makes sense. Just doesn't. It just doesn't.
And so a
Hey, Tim.
reputation that already took a hit has taken
Oh, take
a
it
even
to,
harder hit with
But
and they're gonna
Redfall.
screw it up
so let
even
me give
more when they
you
drop on it.
say their next three first party games or whatever, say they release the multi-platform, right, and
Mhm.
say 70-80% of the revenue comes from PlayStation and Nintendo, would you then say that it's an automatic like bad move? Keep in mind that already the their console market is diminishing, right? It's being
Yeah.
sold at, I think, 3-1 in 2023. And in some regions across Europe, it's 7-1 and
It's
12-1.
dying.
So what I would say, if the growth in the console market is already stagnated, would you not say the extra 80% revenue could do some use?
But but isn't that the whole point of them getting more involved into mobile? Like, isn't this the whole point for them to get
But
these
you can
other
do both,
sources
though.
of income? Well,
But
I
you
mean, but
still
yeah,
paying
but
out them
they did this.
30% margins
Yeah,
too.
but remember they
Also,
went
I thought
ahead and these are just like you said, right? These are smart people, right? They sat there, they ran all the numbers, right? L- How are we pretending that when they decided to pull the trigger on Activision Blizzard, when Phil was out here saying all this shit to us, and all these people were talking these things? Like they didn't know that this was going to take a hit. They knew what the shit was going to cost them. They could project all that shit out. They knew that they weren't going to get this immediate huge return the first fucking quarter that this shit happened, right? Like that doesn't make any sense. They
Yeah.
knew that this was
I
to build for the future.
Yeah,
So why would you
but
take
just
I
price
think
keep
now
in mind,
without
they
doing it?
they missed their fiscal. Hold on one second, buddy. They missed their fiscal year 23 Game Pass number by 10 million. Remember?
Yeah, but
yeah.
again, the
What
content
they were
drives the
just
Game
guessing they
Pass
was at
subscription.
35 million?
Yeah, but
yeah.
well, they didn't.
Well,
They
they
didn't.
thought
I don't think that
they're
was.
at 33.5. I
Yeah,
Thirty.
they
listen.
grew,
Okay.
but
The,
I guess the point is that they already knew this stuff, right? And they know that content drives the subscription. So if you don't
I
have
got
And they
new
you.
release shit
exciting
like
games,
Redfall.
yeah, like what did they think was gonna fucking happen? First of all, we already knew that this whole thing with Redfall. Obviously, we knew that Phil took the L on that because obviously he
Maybe
put trust
somebody
in a
stepped
company
in.
that fucked them, right? So that's gone, that's done. That's why everybody's getting tight, right? Matt Booty's in charge of Bethesda. Matt Booty's in charge of Activision Blizzard. Now there's no more freedom, right? They have oversight. They have to hit certain quality bars, all that fun stuff. But they knew all this shit, and the whole point is that now that they're actually going to have the games that would in turn be the revenue driver for Game Pass to make people say, oh shit, look at all these dope games we're getting in Game Pass. These big games. You got 4 huge games coming out this year. That is what's going to make people say, let's go to Game Pass. Last year, you have Redfall that made people second guess whether Starfield was going to be good. So, of course, that didn't push people to go do it. If
So,
Redfall had hit, that would have been a chance for people to
out
be
of
like,
curiosity,
okay,
Even
Starfield's going to do good.
what do you
even
think those
Starfield
games will
did.
be?
So I
What
got
do
a
you mean?
Redfall question, man. I got a Redfall question
Oh,
Hold
for
you
on,
you
talking
hold
all,
on,
about
right?
hold
the
on,
game?
hold
Oh,
on.
you talking about the
OT
games that got
OT
announced
been
this
trying to get
during
in.
I
during the
sent
Let
you
direct?
OT
All right.
get. Let OT. I think OT want to add
OT
Yeah,
has
always
some
been
time.
TimDog
Yeah,
something.
always
Yeah,
been waiting for a
let's give
long
time to
time.
OT.
Thanks, Tim. I have to say, I've messed with you for a long time, and I'm surprised that you haven't blocked me yet. So I appreciate the way.
I know it's
Uh,
all fun and we joke around.
it's all fun, man. There's no hate.
Yeah, I know. You we made
But
that
okay,
clear.
okay. But you blocked me though. So
Yeah, I'm blocked
that's
too.
not
What
a
did I
W. You
do?
think you blocked me, dude? So chill.
I
Uh,
think a lot of
you
people
know,
are
you know.
locked up in here.
I
I
just want.
I
I
have a
want. Let's.
guy got blocked.
We'll clear that all up. Now, I want
Damn,
to
he
clear.
blocked me too.
All right,
Yeah,
who?
but there's something I want Tim to ask Phil, because
I
I
don't
think
really want to talk to him right now, to be honest.
okay,
Bro, go
but
But
talk
maybe
to him
one
yourself.
what would you like
one
if I do?
what the thing is. I think Xbox has been doing much worse than people think. So by the time they decided to get Activision, this is just my guess. I think they had already decided that we are going third party, but they wanted to have a strong
Then why didn't they
foundation.
say it in court? Why did they waste so much money in
That's why
court to not
that
say?
argument doesn't hold water because
It
they could
doesn't
have
make
made
any
their life
sense.
so easy. They
Let
could
him
have
They
get
just been
his
like,
bars
yo,
So
off. Let him
let's
they
get his
just
just
waive our
bars off.
argued
party.
for like a year and a half about
On.
acquisitioning and all of this exclusivity shit. Why the
Let,
fuck
let
didn't they
me
just
finish.
say we're
Yeah, they could
releasing
have made
on
the
Let him
FTC
get
And
a
his
we
little
also
bit
bars
have
off.
easier
the
to
Let him
say it's all
finish
coming
his.
out.
Let the man
Let him
talk.
finish his question.
we also have the
let him
emails
finish it.
though
Let
that
him
So
we
talk.
this
Let him
know
talk. Wait,
about Jim
guys.
Ryan.
Let him
Go
the
talk.
ahead.
thing. Phil and Satya at the end of the last generation had a conversation. Why are we still in this console space? So that means Xbox was doing very poorly. So at that point, they had a discussion on the way forward. Now that way forward must have also included the possibility of what we are seeing today. And if you look at the fact that Activision was acquired, let's say 3 months ago, and already we are now looking at third party, it tells me this decision was not made now. This decision was made a while back. This was
I
not
don't
just
know about that.
This is alleged though,
This
allegedly.
has got to be a
Nothing's
new
confirmed
thing
yet.
because just 2 years ago, Phil was speaking publicly about how Bethesda games were exclusive for us, and now they're changing
yeah.
it. It's
He
got to
may
be a
have
recent thing.
said today.
What I heard, Odie, I heard that the last thing that I got from a reputable thing was like in two
Yes,
hours, the margins collapsed, and I think Nib was talking about that. That's
exactly.
what happened, and that's why CFO and I guess Amy got involved. They just basically told Phil, "Hey, there's no more circus here.
However,
It's
that's why
coming
I'm
home."
saying
Amy
if
is
you
the one y'all have to worry about if
what
you
I'd like
follow
you
that
to ask
trial.
him, what I'd like you to ask Phil is when did this decision get made? My suspicion is it's
I'll
not
ask
as
him
recent as people may think.
when it comes to the time. Right now, to be honest, I don't. I think. Listen, I think what's going to happen tomorrow, they're going to come with messaging, and I don't think it's going to go over well. And then it's just
Mm.
going to be a shit show. There'll be times when it calms down. Listen. I'm still friends with Phil. I don't agree with the decision. This is probably, as Nib
I think
indicated,
it's
this is
above
coming
Phil, to
from.
be honest.
Yeah,
It
it
is.
is. It has to be.
It is. This is over his
And
head.
100%.
like I said,
The
Yeah,
last
that's what
thing
I
I
was
want to
saying
say,
earlier.
when Nib's
there's one.
talking about margins and then I'm hearing like margins absolutely collapsed, and this is an industry wide thing. So whatever happens last quarter really spooked Xbox, maybe because they
There's
lost
one
like
more thing I just
500
want to
million on
say.
the Activision, like you said. But I don't know. Something happened that's
Mm.
completely
Now,
derailed
in,
their
it
plan.
just in defense of Phil, just let me say this, the last one. I think Game Pass was a reaction to people who stopped buying games en masse. So even though Game Pass is partially responsible for what we are seeing today because it's cannibalized so much, in a sense, Game Pass helped save a lot of jobs at the time. If Phil had said, let's not try Game Pass, I think
Agreed.
we would have been seeing more jobs cut. And I think also the move to third party is also going to save jobs more than people think. I know these things may not look right now, but
Agreed.
from the company's perspective, Game Pass was a necessity to survive. It has also cannibalized sales, and now they're moving to third party. That is also another necessity to survive. If they stick to their guns, like you guys, some of you are saying, I think the outcome will be many jobs will be lost. So
Well,
when you look at it,
let me
It was
address
a
that because
necessity then. Now it's not,
I
in
do
my
want to say
opinion.
something about that because I talked to a Microsoft person and
mm,
I said, oh well, the layoffs seem to be done, and I guess we'll just move on from there. And that person said, I don't think so. And so it
oh
basically
damn.
he indicated to me that there could be possibly more layoffs in the future. But maybe that's this, like you said, Odie. It possibly that's where they're at. That said, hey, if we want to keep people and we don't want to have these 1,100 or 1,900 people that we lost, we got to do
Mm,
something drastic. And here we are now. Again, I went over if they maybe communicated this in a lot different way and
Mm.
or went through different channels, I'd have respect for them. But I can't respect when they just basically left us all hanging.
Yeah.
And people will say, well, it's just rumors, but there's been many times where there's rumors and they addressed it, and it's at such a fever pitch right now. Like I said,
mm,
when they do have their PR, I don't see that going over well. I think that they're gonna screw that up too, and that's probably coming in the next 6 or 7 hours. But
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to be pretty, and I'm not looking forward to another day of just
Yeah.
people going
So
crazy.
so
Another
so
day of
Tim,
six
right?
hours space.
This is my thing, right? I feel like when it comes, it's a lot of emotions in this shit with a lot of people, bro. And a lot of us are grown ass men and women. So I feel like kind of pause, chill out, wait to see what they say tomorrow, whenever, whatever they gonna say, whatever they don't say, bro. But at the end of the day, it's like we can't get it misconstrued as if because the console war fanboys gonna come out in droves, bro. Like my thing is when they take L after L, they're not vocal about that, right? But when some news happened about Xbox, everybody come out the woodwork. Y'all was talking about Redfall earlier, right? Do you really think Redfall was that bad, Tim? I'm asking you that. Do you think it was that bad?
Listen, the last time
That
I
shit
played,
made me throw up. So
That shit
the
was
last
Okay,
time
Nah,
so
I
so
played,
since you want
it
to
wasn't
answer,
that
what what
bad. It
what
wasn't
what
that
made
I
bad.
you
couldn't
what
play
made
it.
you hold on?
I
What
couldn't
made you
play
throw up
it.
about it?
I know it. Literally playing it, I damn near vomited.
I'm saying how though.
Yeah, the game's ass. Like,
It
I'm
made
sorry,
when
The
it
game's
made
straight
me
dog shit,
woozy.
No,
bro.
Look,
this a real hold
I
on.
ain't
This a
And
even
I
real
hope
lying,
question.
y'all
bro.
enjoy it
This
on
this a real question.
PlayStation. You
I
better
am.
buy
Look,
that
this
shit.
is a real answer. I'm not even
Right,
lying because I streamed it. I was
right,
streaming it with Mello and Noah. We was playing co-op,
right,
and I don't know if it was the 30 frames or whatever, but it made me woozy, and it gave
right.
me the fit, and I stopped playing it instantly. I didn't
Okay,
even
cool. So
I
you
didn't even
so
go back to it.
right. So you feel like that was a low quality game? You
Yeah, it looked the trash to me when I say Microsoft ain't never put nothing out like this.
okay?
We had two. When did it
Okay,
come out
cool.
last year?
Okay, cool.
Crackdown 3
Right.
was
So
pretty similar in
so let's put
terms of
Redfall.
quality.
Let's put
Yeah, that
Redfall for
shit was
you.
like wow, bro. Like this.
Right. So let's put Redfall for you with a big red X on it. Right. How you feel about Forza Motorsport? You play that
I'll put a little time in. It looks good. It
quality
looks good.
game?
I like
It's
Quality
Forza.
game.
quality game.
Okay. How you
I'm
how you
not a
feel about?
racing fanatic though.
I feel you.
My
I feel
brother
you.
Kratos and OTI. I'm not a race and Dilla. I'm not a
Me neither,
racing
bro.
fanatic.
Me neither. But I'm decent on there though. So
Mm.
what about Starfield? Feel like that's a quality game? How you feel about that?
Starfield quality game. I have to
Okay.
win.
I love Starfield.
With
You
Starfield, I
you
have
played
to
it?
play in I have to play in sec. Look, for some
Right.
reason, as I got older, um, when I play certain games, I get
Right.
woozy and shit. So I can't play them for long hours no more.
I
Like
feel
I
you. I
was in
feel
my
you.
younger years.
So it is a quality game. What about Half Hour Rush? You play that?
Hi-Fi Rush,
Remember
yeah, I
the
beat
year.
Hi-Fi Rush. I beat
Remember
That's
when
a
that.
you get
quality
in
game.
there?
Yeah, quality gun. Yeah.
Okay,
Wait,
so
C
so
Money.
so
Have
here's my
you?
thing. Hold on. So here's my thing, right? We having these conversations about Xbox needing to pull out quality to sell consoles, but they released, 3 high quality, games last year, right? First party games, and you felt like Redfall wasn't high quality, but after the 60 frames patch and everything else, some of the smooth 60 frames I ever played. No cap. Now, is the game? It has a great fucking groundwork, and I said that. I told everybody when Redfall came out, it felt like a fucking 1X game. Didn't feel like a Series
Hmm.
X game. Again, because a lot of motherfuckers they choose these sides of fanboys. 1% of people up here is honest about this shit. The shit felt like a 1X game. It did not seem like a series game, right? But after that patch, it did, right?
It was much
So if,
better
if
after the
Xbox
patch.
if Xbox put out the majority of high quality games last year, right? And Sony their only release last year was a buggy fucking Spider-Man game that we've seen before. And it is what it is. Again, I come from PlayStation. Niggas is not from different planets up here. I grew up on that shit, right? But my thing, if Sony can give out Spider-Man based off nostalgia, right? And it come out super fucking buggy. Buggiest AAA release I ever seen, right? Redfall, just rub niggas a certain way. Wasn't too buggy, just 30 frames, whatever the fuck, right? So how can we continue to have this conversation and say Xbox doesn't have quality when they put out more quality than PlayStation consistently, right? We've been seeing people say now, I want Indiana Jones to come to PlayStation. I want Avowed to come to PlayStation. I want Elder Scrolls to come to PlayStation. So it's clear that Xbox has the majority of quality. People will not buy the console due to indoctrination, due to brand loyalty. I know this shit because I still have family that say the same shit. We see these people in these clips again. Like I said earlier, you can look them up for yourself. They're literally saying, I love my PlayStation. I'm not going to get an Xbox because I don't like it. I want their games to come to Xbox. So this is why I was saying to you earlier. It does not matter how much they market a game. Certain people have chosen their side, just like in politics. There's people that's going to think Joe Biden the evilest motherfucker in the world. There's niggas that's going to think Trump is the most
Yeah,
evil
but
motherfucker in the world. They will never change. Y'all got to understand, we living in a new age. Social media has a grand effect on people's minds and fucking psyches, right? And when it comes to this console war
Yep.
shit, certain people will never come to Xbox, nigga. Everything I say to y'all, I will put my account. We got a game, whatever money, it don't matter, bro. Because I know what the fuck I'm talking about. I don't be wrong about this shit. People will not choose a console, no matter how much marketing Xbox does, if they are again indoctrinated in the PlayStation lifestyle. They've said this shit. You will not. You can't openly say that I'm willing to wait 6 years if I have to for that game to come over.
Yeah, but
Despite
Beast,
I know they're going to release
you
one
also
first
said
party
that,
game every 3 months,
but
But the
Beast,
right?
you
cash
also
will
said you
outweigh the
know
people
that
you talking about.
yeah, but
Say it
Beast, you
again.
Don't
know,
agree with that at
hold on,
all.
Beast, you also said you know that
Hmm.
that it's just a small minority of people who give a shit about those games, right? So
Hmm.
we don't care about the
It's a
20
mind share.
mil or 30
Mind share.
million that no matter what are gonna stay, right? What
Hmm.
Xbox is fighting for are the casuals who are choosing to buy a PlayStation instead of an Xbox, right?
Well,
Because of
That's
their
where the
homies.
war is.
it's
But
mind. It's
that's what
mind share.
but that's what
It's-
but yeah, exactly. So that's the
yeah.
point, right? So we're not, yes, that's true. They're not going to buy no matter what, but fuck
Xbox
those
is
Right.
people
not the
because they're not
cool
coming
console
anyway.
no more.
You know what I'm saying?
Well,
Like
no. I
Xbox
mean,
It
know they
used to
not
be the
talking to
bro
them.
console. It used to
but,
be the cool
Yeah,
console. It's
but
not
that's
that
so let
because
me
no more.
ask
they
you this, post up.
It's not that
What makes
anymore.
what makes PlayStation so attractive when again when it
You,
comes to their
you want to
first
know?
party output?
I'm
Hold on,
sorry.
let me ask him or whoever talking to me. I want y'all one on one, right? What because you said Xbox is no longer the cool console.
It's
What's
not.
cool about PlayStation if the majority of the games are not selling? Because you got to remember, God of War was cross-platform, Horizon was cross-platform, Gran Turismo was cross-platform. Compared to how many people brag about those games, and again, let's go back to fucking what is it, Ratchet and Clank, right? Y'all was talking about marketing. That shit was marketed heavy, nigga, heavy. Would not be possible if it wasn't for the PS5. Godfall, how many of y'all bought that? That's one game they released that had me just, and I was like, that shit, I would play that if it was on Xbox. And guess what the fuck I did when it came out? I bought Godfall day one on Xbox. I bought Temtem day one on Xbox. Right? Those two games I was interested in, I actually fucking purchased. So my thing, these games that they often advertise quality and power to PS5, they do not purchase over there. Right? So it's funny hearing people say, PlayStation is the cool console. How? When they don't even support the fucking software. That makes no sense. Like, there's a lot of talking points that goes on, but nobody ever checks these shits getting down to the nucleus of it. People do not buy PlayStations because they offer them fucking software and content. They often play these games. They hold on. They play these games. They put them up and they never play them again. When it comes to even a game like Halo, they make money on microtransactions, right? They got all these fucking games. Forza. I bought the fucking premium pass for that. I bought the premium pass for fucking Starfield and all these other things. At the end of the day, this shit is about mind share. We can do all these hypotheses and what ifs
I
that we want
said
to.
that.
At the
It,
end,
I
at the
get
end
it,
of the
man.
day,
Look,
if
man.
you are a
Like,
hardcore PlayStation fan, you don't want to switch to Xbox. There's
yeah, and
nothing they
that's
will ever
fine.
be
And
able to
that
do for you, bro.
I get it,
Period.
dude. Like, that's fine. Like, look, it comes down to personal taste, man. If you like Redfall or whatever, or like this game's more than the
Right.
PlayStation games, that's totally fine, and that's up to you. In reality, like, I think it doesn't matter. Like, personally, I like Xbox to exist in the console space
Yeah.
because I want the diversity. I do like
Hmm.
Grounded. I like, some people don't. That's cool. I like Pentiment. I thought that Pentiment was cool. It offers something, you know. It like that. That's the thing. But the problem
Right.
is, like, I think that everybody's concern here is that because there is not like the console is not going to have its own exclusives, or they're going to be ported somewhere else.
Well, I know that's a
The
different argument,
console.
though.
Give me a
I
minute.
agree
Give me a
with you
minute.
right there,
It
though.
might
That's all I want you to understand because when you
it might potentially
right.
lose its personality. Like, that's
Well, no,
it might.
I'm with. Listen, though, I'm with you on that though because when
Yeah.
you responding, right, you responding to something else. That's a different topic. I'm with you on that. I was one of the first ones to say that shit. If they put their games on a competing platform that's not willing to give them shit, that's an idiot move. That's fucking stupid. If you put in if you put a Starfield over there, that's fucking stupid. Like when it comes to being taken serious, as far as the conversation for the big three, it's over for that. Right? I'm not no fucking bot. So that's why when you said that shit, Tim,
Let
I'm not
me
a
answer your
hardcore.
question.
I'm a listen. Hold on, I got you. I'm a gamer first. I like what Xbox offers when it comes to
I agree.
this hobby we call
We're in
gaming.
agreement.
They've innovated on everything we're doing now, bro. From online achievements, all this other shit. So yes, if they put all their big games on the competing platform, that's dumb. There's no reason, and they will get ridiculed for that shit, and they deserve that shit. You can't have somebody on the ropes. Like literally, when it comes to software, when it comes to making the games that people want, Xbox has all the fucking games that they want. The problem is people are sticking to their guns. Yeah, I want that game, but fuck it, I'll wait for it to come to PlayStation. No amount of marketing in the fucking world will ever help that. Ever. Ever.
Well,
I disagree
that's
with
not
that.
necessarily true. I
You
disagree
can
with
disagree,
that.
but you got to show me proof.
But let me answer your question.
Go ahead.
I
You
don't
brought up a
think
truth
people
earlier.
really understand how widespread the mantra of Xbox has no games and Xbox's dog shit has spread it amongst the casuals. I'm talking about people that ain't even into gaming, right? That don't even play gaming. But if they decided to, their first option is not an Xbox.
I
It's a
don't think it's
PlayStation.
I don't
And
Hey,
think
and
it's
those same
necessarily
people.
that. I don't reckon it's necessarily that they think it's dog shit. I just think PlayStation, the kind of cinematic games, they're part of the cultural zeitgeist now, right?
yeah,
You know, like
Well,
Spider-Man
well,
Two.
that's false
100.
though, because
We're
they don't
saying
sell.
like exclusives don't matter. Spider-Man Two is NPD
no,
for the
I'm
full
not saying
year.
exclusives
Oh,
don't
hold on,
matter.
let me finish. Let me finish. I know, no, I'm just saying in general. Spider-Man Two is the fourth best-selling game in the United States
Mm.
of the whole year, right? It actually outsold Diablo and other big Jedi Survivor, even though they're multi-platform. So like obviously it must have done serious numbers, and it's up there with other multi-platform
Well, we
games.
know
So
how big the Spider-Man
Okay, but
IP
it's
is.
yeah, of
Diablo.
course, of
It's
course, yeah.
Diablo.
Uh,
It's not Diablo, dude. It's Diablo.
Diablo, whatever, yeah.
What
And
I
Diablo.
was
then
saying
obviously
though is
the
amongst
previous
the.
year, the previous
Mhm.
year, I think PlayStation had 3 games that charted in NPD top 20. 3 games, 3 exclusives. So what I mean is, yeah, like I think, yeah, maybe not everyone is buying them. No game sells like that. No game has that sort of attach ratio. No game. I think the only games in history that have had that sort of attach ratio, I think, is GTA 5. Even Call of Duty usually across all platforms, because people see 30 million sales and they think it's on a single platform, but that's spread across all the platforms. If you actually break it down per platform, the PlayStation version sells between 16 and 25 million, which is in the range of a lot of their tentpole exclusives, like Uncharted 4, Last of Us, God of War, Horizon Zero Dawn, etc. So those games are actually selling close to or better than even Call of Duty. It's just Call of Duty. When you see it in NPD, when you see it in GSD, when you see it in other charts, they're always combining platforms. So I think people forget that when they talk about sales and they look at charts.
Absolutely. And
Wait, did you say Spider-Man 2 outsold Diablo 4? Did you say that?
Yeah,
Here we go.
Yeah,
Where are you
in
getting
the
these numbers
NPD
from?
chart.
I have
In
to
the
agree with the
NPD
dude
chart,
that
it's
like
in
writes
the image
paragraphs.
above.
In US, in the US,
In the
Oh
US, yeah.
no,
in the
so
US.
in the
Yeah,
U.S. we're talking totality, right?
yeah. Well,
Not
yeah.
just the U.S.
We
I'm
don't have
pretty.
the total
No,
numbers.
he was saying in the U.S. I don't think
Yeah,
he.
so
Yeah,
we
in
can't.
the
We
US
we got to
only.
stop skewing the numbers, right? If we're gonna talk
He's
about
not.
worldwide appeal, let's go worldwide, right?
Yeah, but I'm talking about data that we do have. You're talking about data
Yeah,
that
he
we
was
Yeah,
don't.
but
talking about data
well,
that
no,
we.
I'm talking about the data that I know, right? I'm going on overall sales,
So can
right?
you post your
So
source then? I posted mine above.
Oh shit! Hold
easy. So this is my thing,
Go
right? Because
on.
I'm known for making bets and
I
winning them,
want.
right?
Yeah,
So
just
hold
post
on,
it to
post
the
up. This
jumbotron
my
so we
thing,
can all
right?
see.
You know what? I'm gonna let y'all go. I answer the
No.
question.
This
There
this
you
my
go.
this my question, right? This is a real
Have a
question,
good one,
right? Because
folks. Have a good one.
this is a real question, right? So if we because we quick to talk about PlayStation games selling, well, we got to understand. Last year they only gave them one game. So if you're a hardcore PlayStation fan and you say you buy that console for the games, they only gave you one first party
Final
game.
Fantasy 16 charted as well, ahead of Starfield in
Yeah, but
Europe and
even
behind
Square Enix
Starfield
said
in
they
the
were
States.
disappointed with the sales of Final Fantasy 16, right? Like go
Square Enix
even when
said
you go to
they were happy with the sales. They said
no,
it was
nah,
very
nigga, I can
They
successful.
were
post you the
way
article. I can
happy with
post you
the
the article.
sales.
Them saying they were
Okay, please.
disappointed, right?
I'll post the
This is why.
article
But
that says
hold
that
on.
they're happy with.
Okay, guys. What are we debating? Like, please, just land it, dude. Like, land it, guys. Okay, you go, and then like the other guy goes. Go.
I got you. So this is the thing with a lot of people. When you're making a point, they want to chime in and fucking debate everything. My point is, when it comes to PlayStation games, right? They have the exclusives have not been selling. If that were the case, then the most played games on PlayStation would be PlayStation exclusive, and it's not. Now you could try to throw that fucking question back on me, but Xbox dudes do not brag about fucking gaming sales all the time.
What?
I'm on Xbox for the sheer amount of options that they give me. If you base your whole lifestyle on PlayStation based on its exclusives, then we will realistically and reasonably expect for them to sell pretty high, right? So when they don't sell high, you got to look yourself in the mirror and say, why am I on this console? You can't keep trying to sell. PlayStation has the exclusive and they're the cool console if those exclusives do not sell. The most played games
What
on
are you
PlayStation are
suggest?
often
What
third
data are
party.
you suggesting they don't sell well? That's what
They
I'm
No,
trying to
they don't.
figure
They
out.
don't sell in comparison to the amount of people that brag about them. No.
Yeah, but
they do sell it, bro. 20 million is
Game
good.
Pass. That's like saying Game Pass should have hundreds of millions of subscribers because it's available on mobile, TV, cloud,
Well,
Xbox,
it's not the
PC,
same thing
everything.
because we don't go around like console world
Okay, but
with it,
I
right?
don't really care what the
But
fanboys say. I'm
that's
talking about
irrelevant.
strictly data.
No,
Yeah,
it is
that's
relevant because
irrelevant.
again, Ratchet and Clank was used by everybody, the media, everything from
Ratchet
fucking
and Clank made a
IGN.
profit in the first month.
Hold on, everything from IGN to Kotaku. Pick a gaming site, right? They were advertising this shit.
Rift Apart made profit in the first month.
Who told you that? No, it didn't.
The
Insomniac told me
leaks?
that.
No,
Insomniac told me that.
the leak. If you're looking at the leak said
Nope.
it did make a profit until it went to
Nope,
PC.
you're wrong. You're wrong.
I'm not wrong.
Yeah,
I've
You're
he
quoting
seen
made
me.
a
these leaks.
Okay,
profit.
I'll put the data
What?
up. You put your data up because Beast.
Guy-
What I want to do from now on, let's do this thing instead of
Yeah,
glossing
we done did
over.
this
Nah,
countless
nah,
times,
nah,
man.
nah, nah.
Yeah,
We're not
I'll
letting you
post
do
Countless
my
that.
source.
times.
You
See,
post your source.
You
Yeah.
this is
but you
why
gotta
I
understand.
wanted to. This is why I wanted to stay away from that hardcore conversation because it was in a
Right.
minority. What I was talking about was strictly from a casual perspective when it
Mm.
comes to PlayStation. PlayStation has the it factor.
Yep.
No, the mind
It's
The
shit.
something.
That's what
present.
it is.
No.
Hold on. It
PlayStation
has
has the
that.
presentation,
Yeah,
right?
the presentation,
That
but it has that it
Xbox.
factor. It's
I'm
that
telling you.
system. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm telling you right now.
Well, y'all
Xbox
talking
has
about mind share. You gotta
no
understand, bro.
game. He was talking about last year, all those successful games. None of them games match the presentation on a level where PlayStation games match it. That is
What?
why they're not drawing them in.
Well, I'm not
By
worried
that
about
logic, though, do
games.
you think Spider-Man was a good game, presentation wise?
Presentation wise, yes.
When I'm
I think it did its job.
hold
It
on, hold on,
looked
hold on.
No,
great and it sold.
no.
When I'm
But how
speaking
though?
on a casual, I don't care about game sales. I'm not talking about game
Mm,
sales, right? I'm talking about from a casual's perspective. The
right.
gamers today are different than the gamers yesterday. We was locked into hardware. My
Mm,
children don't care how they consume their games. They'll play on a tablet, they'll play on a cell phone, Xbox, whatever, however they consume it. I'm
right.
talking about from a casual perspective in terms of PlayStation. I'm not talking about sales. You have
Right.
kids out here that want a PlayStation just because it's the cool item to have, just because they want to be in the because it has that it factor.
Yeah, we know that though.
Xbox, Xbox.
Yeah.
That's what I was saying. Xbox. I'm talking about amongst the casual. Now, the
Right.
hardcore, y'all can get into game sales and all that. Xbox don't have that. PlayStation built that brand recognition over years. It was the same reason why I said Xbox have a culture issue that PlayStation doesn't
Yep.
have, because PlayStation is synonymous with all the pop artists, the rap artists, the singers, and all that stuff.
Yeah, we know
They
this. I come from
ingrained it.
PlayStation,
You know
bro.
what
You
I'm saying?
talking to
That's
choir.
that's what I'm saying.
Hey, and those
Yeah.
That's
same
a,
kids grew up hearing Xbox is
Yeah,
dog
I
shit.
right.
told y'all,
They
So
bro. I go to
grew
my
up
pop
on
house. He
that.
got a fucking PlayStation. He don't got not one
right,
PlayStation
but I'm just
exclusive, but
but
he got a
yeah,
PlayStation.
yeah, but I'm saying, but that's another battle. That's when I was saying that Microsoft has a brand issue and a marketing issue and a messaging issue. They didn't have that in the 360 era because they message you. We knew who Xbox was in the
Mhm.
360 era. We knew the messaging, and they knew who they was marketing to, and they catered to the hardcore and the casual. Today, I don't know what the fuck Xbox message is.
What you
I
gotta
don't
understand
know
this too
what
though.
the
You're right. You do
identity
right.
of the brand is, and that Power Your Dreams marketing thing they got,
Right.
that shit is lame as fuck. Who is you
But
telling
listen,
to
you do
power
have a
their
point though.
dreams?
But listen, it's two things what you're saying, right? When it comes to the marketing and the mind share,
Hmm.
I've been telling everybody this for the longest. Anybody who ever talked to me, I've been saying this shit they want, right? I told you my pop got a PlayStation, not one fucking PlayStation exclusive, right? There's nothing realistically that Xbox can do as long as those hardcore PlayStation fans who give that mind share to their kids, their cousins, and everything exists. There's nothing they can do.
But it's
And I done said
natural
this
though.
multiple times, right?
But didn't you say earlier that PlayStation fans were wanting Xbox games on PlayStation?
what they do.
I didn't say that.
Then why not market those games as only on Xbox and get those people over?
Well, they do because you got to look at the media, right? Hold on. Let me. This is a fine example. Look at Suicide Squad, right? There's so many people trying to trash that fucking game based on their personal feelings, right? They're not trashing it because anything that's
No,
fucking
I played the alpha. Some of that stuff is warranted. But go ahead.
Nah, I know it ain't, bro. I can guarantee you ain't playing enough. You can hop on there with me. I'll carry you, whatever you want me to do, bro. Like I'm a gamer, bro. Trust me. So when it comes to a game, from a gameplay perspective, comparing that shit to something like Spider-Man, something I played 1,000 times growing up, it is way more innovative from movement to combat, right? And that's not shitting on
Oh,
Spider-Man. Again, I grew up on this, on all that shit, right?
did you the
The
swinging
only thing people are
mechanics
mad
in that
about.
game is comparable to Spider Man?
Yes, yes.
Oh
When
no.
it comes to listen, when it comes because if you want to have a real conversation, we can do that. All the bullshit, all the joking,
But
I don't do that
go
that
ahead.
lame shit, bro. So when it comes to cinematics, right? Rocksteady themselves. If you watch, I don't know how much you play because you say you played the alpha. I don't know whatever you did or didn't do. But if you watched all three of those deep dives, they admitted themselves this is their most cinematic game to date, even deeper than all their Batman games. And I can tell you, as a nigga who beat that shit and in the end game now, yes, they have it in spades. Regardless of how you feel about how they handled Kevin Conroy, who actually signed on and agreed to the script, that's how you gonna feel. And I ain't here to debate that shit. But if we talking fucking objectively, that shit is magnificent. It reminds you a little bit of Sunset Overdrive mixed with Outriders, a little bit of if you like the Warframe. You take a couple of those things and kind of mix them together, gameplay style. The
All
replay
right,
value is out of this world,
let's
right?
wrap it up.
And it's funny. This is
Yeah,
what I hate.
I still
And
think it's a presentation issue, man.
but
Yeah.
hold on, let me
Perception.
land this
Okay, bro,
plane on why
let's
I
wrap it
compared it
up,
to
dude.
Spider-Man, right? If you're an Xbox dude, right, and you was one of the ones saying, we want Rocksteady to make another Batman, then you can never open your mouth to Insomniac about Spider-Man. Because some of y'all stay saying they should do something else, right? So how the fuck can you turn around and say Rocksteady should have made, another Batman game? You're a hypocrite, right? Pick whatever lane you would pick it and stay in it. Either you want innovation or you don't. These people took a shot at innovation. They landed that motherfucker. If you're a
This is
real gamer,
Xbox issue though. This is
yeah,
not a
yeah, but still, you
PlayStation
asked me a
issue.
question
What's that
about
got to do with
Spider-Man, bro. So I was
Xbox?
divulging on that motherfucker
Yeah,
for
I'm
you.
just saying
But
this
if you
is
talk,
not a. I'm
if you
just
talking
want to.
about
This is not
Xbox,
a
yeah,
PlayStation issue. This is a Xbox issue, and that's the core of the
right.
conversation.
Yeah, I
Well,
agree.
don't
Xbox.
want to ask me about Spider-Man, right?
I
So I had
didn't ask you
explained that to
about
you,
Spider Man.
All right,
right?
all right,
No,
all
no,
right, all
no.
right, guys.
One of y'all
Let's give
said
some
you
time.
just compared that to Spider-Man, so
Let's give
that's why I had
time
to break
to
that down. So,
Ahmed.
but when it
Let's give.
comes to your point about fucking marketing, I don't think as much they could do because everybody is privy to Xbox's roadmap. We haven't seen PlayStation's roadmap, right? They just had a state of play that was not impressive compared to what Xbox has been doing. Hell, even at the Game Awards, it wasn't for Xbox. The fucking Game Awards would have been scary.
Every day in America,
Mhm.
marketing, TV, advertisement is telling people the bad things that they don't need. Don't sit up
Mhm.
here and people do it. Don't sit up here and tell me. And that's what I was saying, the power of imagery. Imagery, whether it's in your face, whether it's subliminal from a subconscious brain, imagery is powerful,
When it comes to
right?
Xbox, imagery not gonna do shit, my nigga.
Yeah,
It's
Okay,
not.
okay, hold on.
yeah,
Wait.
okay.
Just listen.
All right,
This
all
is
Yeah,
right,
the
guys.
I know
reality.
what I'm talking about, bro.
yeah,
This is the
okay.
reality of everything,
Anytime
right?
y'all want to talk about this shit, bro,
Yeah.
one
All
on
right,
one, we don't got a
cool.
bunch
Hold
of
on.
people. Let
The,
me know,
Right,
bro. I got
right.
you.
listen.
Easy.
Go
Okay.
ahead, Amar.
Okay. Cool. The reality, though, and this is the thing that what like all the numbers and all that bullshit, right? I get it. Cool. We got all these numbers. It's dope, right? This is the problem. None of the numbers accounts for this Xbox that we have going forward. None of the past numbers mean shit. None of the past marketing means shit. None of the past games release means shit because there has not been a generation where the company who's making a console is poised to release an onslaught of games year after year with over 40 studios who can make these games.
All
There's
right. You
never been done. So when you think about PlayStation heads who have not converted, you cannot say that they will never convert because they've never seen an Xbox that gave them 10 IPs that they want this
Well, it
year.
don't look like
And
we
then you
all
gonna
right,
get
can't
that
all right.
compound
Xbox
that year
either.
after
No,
year. We're
I'm gonna cut it. You gotta wrap it up because there are two people that want to talk, man. You gotta wrap it up, please. All right, Ahmed, go for it. Ahmed.
Hey, all right. Thanks for bringing me up. I just wanted to say, I wanted to chime in. This was a pretty interesting conversation, and I agree with a few different points from a lot of the speakers up here. I just want to say, in regards to like the initial talking point, I strongly believe Xbox consoles are not going anywhere. I wholeheartedly believe that Xbox consoles are not going anywhere, and Game Pass is significantly going to help push that forward. Um, I think one of the biggest issues that came with the Xbox brand as a whole was the name. I know it might sound crazy, some people might not agree, but when you went from the Xbox One, Xbox One S, Xbox One X, and then you transition to Xbox Series X, Xbox Series S. From the sales perspective, and I've seen it firsthand when I was selling consoles myself, people would come in and say, "Hey, I want that new Xbox," and they over here thinking that the Xbox One X was the brand new thing. The Xbox One S it was a big confusion. So
Yeah,
I
super
I
agree.
feel like
confusing.
the
Yeah.
branding for the console needs to be concrete. The 360 was selling. You know why? Because the 360 was a poppin' name. Xbox 360, it rolled off your tongue
Thank
beautifully.
you.
Beautifully. When you said 360, everyone knew what the 360 was. Everyone knew what the 360 was. And people knew it so much that people wanted a 720. I know everybody remembers that. Oh, the next Xbox should be called the 720.
Yeah,
Everybody
the
knows that.
memes.
I remember that.
Everybody knows that.
It was gonna be that at some
And,
point, didn't it?
They
and
actually were. That was part of their pitch. They were going to do Xbox 720.
yeah,
You can blame Don for
Yeah.
that
yeah, and
one.
that's
The
something.
reason why they call it 360 is because of all the it was gonna have games, movies, music. It was 360, everything around one
was because
console.
it also was behind. It was behind a generation for PlayStation, right? So they didn't want to release the
Yeah.
Xbox Two when the
Hmm.
PlayStation Three was being released, right?
Exactly, exactly. But
Yep.
then they went to the transition where everything when they said, all right, you know what? We're not gonna do 720. We're gonna go with the Xbox One. Why? One being all in one entertainment system. They slowly started to like divert away from being a gaming only system to wanting to be an all in one entertainment system. And I'm speaking from a perspective as someone that also plays, everything. I play PlayStation games, I play Xbox games, everything. As far as the titles moving across platform, I mean, let's be real, right? Microsoft, everyone that's gaming on a PC is playing on a Windows-based PC. No one's playing on Linux, no one's playing on Ubuntu, and I'll be damned if someone is playing on a Mac. I mean, let's be honest. So I feel like Microsoft is experimenting with things because they have the leadway to do so. And someone was talking about it earlier with like, oh, it's a bad idea with the games go with for example, let's say Starfield or something, or Sea of Thieves going over to PlayStation or the other platform. I I agree to disagree. The reason being is because Xbox again has something that everyone else does not, and it is that they are willing to put their games on the other platforms. They're willing to do that, and they have an alternative platform in Windows PCs that is open to getting everyone else's games when they don't want to put it on an Xbox console itself. So when they say, okay, Sea of Thieves is going to be on PlayStation, at first I was like, damn, that might be a bad idea. But then I was like, you know what? That might actually be a good idea. Why? Because we live in a day and age of cross-play. Two people play Sea of Thieves together. You got a PlayStation guy, you got an Xbox guy playing Sea of Thieves together. Cross-play lobby, beautiful. Someone was talking about earlier, if someone has like God of War on PlayStation or whatever, that person might say, yeah, come on, play on PlayStation. I'll get my game on this console. Check this out. You got two people playing Sea of Thieves, right? One person's playing on PlayStation, one person's playing on Xbox, playing together cross-play. That Xbox guy can talk to his PlayStation friend and say, yeah, man, this Xbox game is pretty fire. And I'm talking from a casual standpoint. This Xbox game is pretty fire, right? Don't you think? Yeah, man, it's easy to port the player over to the Xbox ecosystem. It's very easy to do that. And how do you pitch that? Well, if you don't want to buy Sea of Thieves, we got Xbox Game Pass. The players are going to pitch that themselves. So I feel that them going into, let's just say, for the sake of discussion, enemy lines is more of a strategy than them going completely third party. And that's just my personal opinion. I feel like they want to get into the enemy territory so that those players can get a taste of the Xbox ecosystem and be a little more open to making a transition to an Xbox console. Why? Because they know that God of War, Last of Us is not going to come to an Xbox console. It's not going to happen. But if you go on a Windows PC, guess what's there? Sackboy, Last of Us, Uncharted, Spider-Man, God of War, Horizon. All those games are on PC. I played all of them. So I feel like it's more of a strategy for them to move players over. And I don't think they're going to go full third party at all. I think it's a sneaky play. Very sneaky, but we won't see it right now.
Let's hope they're as smart
So
as you.
interesting, Ahmed. You say that. I don't know if any of you watched the interview with Sean Layden on the What's Up. I don't know What's Up podcast or something like that. But anyway, he spoke about their like strategy, why they brought games to PC, why they took PlayStation games to PC, and why they did a staggered release. And what he said was they didn't want to trade a PlayStation ecosystem consumer for a PC ecosystem consumer because obviously they would lose their 30% margin, etc., etc. But he said what they wanted to do, what it was designed to do, is if PC gamers get these games like 1 year, 2 year, 3 years down the line, and they think they enjoy them, they hoped that it would compel them to go and buy a PlayStation so that they don't have to wait as long for the tentpole first party stuff. I know live service they're doing day and day, but what you're describing is a similar thing, right? So all these PlayStation guys now can suddenly buy Xbox games. They enjoy them, but someone can turn around and say, well, you had to buy them. If you come over to this side and there's a low barrier cost of entry, whether it's through PC or whether it's through cloud or whatever, even you can get the Series S, right? Cheap little device, especially during the holidays. It was given away basically, and suddenly you get a Game Pass subscription and Bob's your uncle. You're ready to go. So that could be the play. I'm not saying that it will be successful because we don't have a crystal ball, but what you're saying makes sense, and it was actually a similar strategy to what PlayStation devised for their PC side of things.
I agree.
All right, let's give time to the king.
Go ahead, Nora, and then I want to say something.
The king or of whatever it is.
Yeah, what's up? This is
Okay.
Kingslayer.
Go
What
ahead,
up,
King.
Tim? What up, Noir? What up, Nib? What up, Post Up?
What up, brother? I'm following you.
I think a lot of people made a lot of interesting points, except they forgot a couple of things about the company we're really talking about. And at the end of the day, it's Microsoft. Microsoft has been in the subscription service business for a long time. And also, to Nib's point about Microsoft losing money, you have to be very careful with that statement, especially for a division that just passed Windows. And Microsoft doesn't update Windows. They just keep selling you subscriptions. That's number one. So any losses are part of the operating of the company. And Microsoft was going to take losses regardless because they were in a court proceeding where legality was on the table for an acquisition of $78 billion,
I agree.
right?
By the way,
Okay,
is King
wait, let me
breaking up
finish.
for anyone else, or is it just me?
No,
So,
no, he's not breaking up, but he was saying basically that the legality costs also factored into the
yeah,
last
yeah, of
court.
course, yeah, yeah, 100%, yeah, which I
Right.
did say, yeah.
Okay, so the point is that this quarter they pulled it in profit $21 billion. That's how much money they kept on the table, with Activision bringing in about 40%. Now, mind you, they also brought in, and this is the thing that a lot of people also aren't talking about, they brought in 200 million subscribers on mobile alone. The main reason why I believe that, even though this is a rumor, that they're exercising this rumor is because this is a devices conversation. How do we get as many more devices into the ecosystem? The problem that Tim and everyone is alluding to, as well as Post, is that devices cater to people ways. You're not going to, if the console market is stagnant, you don't help the console market overall by going to a competitor that also has a stagnant console market. The only one who has an upside going into this next generation
Thank
is
you.
Nintendo. Nintendo had the most meteoric rise from the Wii U that was failed to the Switch. It's the only one that has gained market share. It's the only one that has sold every single console gaming exclusive 20 million, which goes back to Beast's point about the fact that in terms of PlayStation, console exclusive is not as significant as third party games and in specific types of console exclusives like Call of Duty. And the numbers proved them out. And not only do the numbers prove them out, going to court proved them out. You don't fight over one single property and then have entire slides and internal leaks that say if we don't have Call of Duty on our PlayStation, we might as well shut down our business. Because if that's the case, then you don't need Call of Duty if exclusives really truly carry that platform. And so there are things that are
Mm.
very there are things that are very unique and specific to each console and each device. What Microsoft is trying to, it's like you get a new toy. Activision is a new toy and they're trying to figure out how to play with it. It is so massive in terms of its potential. The executives that are at the top, this is my belief, they're just trying to figure out how they can hit the home run and hit the market in a way that makes sense. And the fact that PlayStation is in a state where they don't have crazy big exclusives coming out in 2024, it gives Microsoft the ability to go in and negotiate and say, hey, we would like to bring our games to your platform. But back to the point for every single Xbox fan where they're absolutely right. Even if this is a rumor, they're absolutely right. When you see Power World have 7 million active players on, and these are people that are subscribing and buying the game across PC and Xbox, you're failing for the rest of the year if you don't capitalize on increasing that market share on your own device, which builds value for you to then go to other devices, a la Nintendo, a la PlayStation, and bring in their user base. Because that enhances also your
Yeah.
ability to market.
That's just I want to land that plane, and that's where I'm at.
Yeah. Thanks, man.
X,
Thanks, man.
Good
Let's give
points,
some time
King. Good points, man.
to
Good
the
points.
Sukru.
I mean,
Sukru.
listen, I look at
There's a dude. Okay, go
go
ahead,
ahead.
and then like Sukru Tivs or whatever it is.
Okay, TVS, Tickevs. I just want to make a point, Tickevs, and then you can go to King's Point. Yeah, pretty much solid stuff there. I
Yeah.
mean, just overall, I look at this, and it's just again, it's to the point where um, this has gotten out of hand at this point, and I don't know what happened. Something drastic must have happened. Something spooked them, and they must have seen something that they really couldn't avoid. Because
Mm-hmm.
to me, if you're doing this, I just would have exhausted all other means to do this because I do think this sabotages your hardware, and it is a white flag in a lot of senses. Um, but like, I don't understand why you wouldn't just try everything else, or at least if they had come out to the fans and communicated this a lot differently. Maybe if they just came out and they were honest, I don't know. I kind of would have maybe
But
given them
Tim,
a chance.
to
But
your point,
And not lie to us for
Tim.
years.
Yeah, but Tim, to your point, Tim, I think the reason why they've been quiet, and I forgot to add this, I apologize, but I'm speaking to Tim now about this because this is really important.
okay,
The reason why they're so quiet is because they know full well you have to own your consumer base. With Xbox, you have a built-in ownership of consumers that understand the Xbox brand. This is outside of what Post Up is right about, which is marketing. But there already exist over even if the number is 35 million or 35 million customers
33 or whatever.
in
Yeah.
33 million customers on your subscription model, as well as at least 25 to 30 million customers who own your device. So if we're having a device conversation and you want to reach a billion is what the number is, why would you want to lose 30
2
million of that?
billion.
Why would you want to, if you
Yeah,
want to get to 2
I
billion,
don't
why would you want
understand.
to
Like
lose?
I'm
It doesn't make sense. Why would you want to lose 30 million customers on your existing base? Get on your way to 20 to 2 billion. It doesn't make sense in that regard. And
I'm
I think they need to
I don't
feel the
understand either.
repercussions.
Yeah, I
If
agree,
what
but
Tim said in terms of some some numbers
messaging.
collapsed, if
Yeah.
you pay attention when Phil go back to the ABK trial and listen to how Phil talked about Amy. Amy is the chief financial officer of Microsoft. Whenever Phil wants to get power to go acquire someone, he has to get approval from Satya and Amy. And Amy don't play no games. I go back to that. She do not play. She is a y'all. And if what Tim Dog is saying is true, then
What I
Phil
was
then sat
told.
down with Amy and Satya. And it's over his head because when he was explaining how Amy is and reporting to her, she
Yeah.
don't play no games. She
So
not
I
Yeah.
with
mean, I'm
no
at a
bull
point
crap or none of
now.
that.
All right, dude. Like, let's give time to Sukru
Okay,
Tivs
agreed.
But
and
Post, can I say
Mike,
this
let's
one
crack it
thing,
out.
Noir? Can I say this to Post one time, Noir? My thing about the hardware or anyone talking to me about the margins on Xbox in terms of console bothers me because they've lost on margin on Surface Pros and Surface laptops since its existence, and they still continue to bring them out. So the question is, if you look at Surface compared to Xbox within their company, Xbox has superseded in sales and console hardware more than any Surface line of products. So I'm very confused by that. That's just me personally.
Yeah.
Tim, I think I might add to your point. So first of all, it's really nice to see a real calm conversation, financial analysis and database discussion instead of like a shouting match here.
This is really nice to see. That's something I like about our community, our gaming community in general, and Xbox community in particular. This has been nice, but I think Xbox hardware itself is like a necessary evil for Microsoft because most of the time they have never made profit on the hardware in any generation. There were certain small periods, yes, like end of 360 maybe, but most of the time they were losing money, but they had to keep the hardware in order to have the platform. As you said, they had to make the Surface laptop because when you went and bought an Acer or Dell, they had really terrible laptops, and Windows was known to be the shovelware platform. And they built something like, okay, this is the Surface, this is the gold standard, and this is Windows is supposed to look like. And with Xbox, they also need to have that because as soon as they lose the hardware, they lose the platform because they won't have Game Pass on PlayStation. Sony will not allow that, and Nintendo will not allow that. So in order to have Game Pass, in order to have the brand, they have to have the hardware, and they are playing a very dangerous game. It's like 21 blackjack. You can go high, 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 one wrong move, and if the next Xbox generation there is no hardware or it doesn't sell enough, then they won't have a Game Pass. They will be very difficult negotiation position for Call of Duty or anything else, and they will lose other things as well. So that is their problem. They recently exited their hardware market for PC peripherals. They had like the keyboards and the webcams and other stuff. They were actually really good, but they exited that market. And this is not the first time they are making this, I would say, mistake. Does anyone remember the Windows phones?
The what?
The
The
Windows
what?
Yes,
phones?
yes.
Yeah. You said the
They
Windows
were
phone.
decent, I thought.
Yeah, they were excellent. I actually went for a job interview at Google with a Windows phone. I really liked them at the time,
Oh, okay, the Windows phone.
but they dropped the ball.
They were better than the Sony phones.
Yeah, they were really good phones, but they gave up very quickly,
Well,
and they
Safi
paid
actually
for it.
I
addressed
can't.
that.
I couldn't tell you. I never owned one. I didn't know
Mm.
Safi
They
anything
regret
about
actually
it.
one.
addressed that.
Yeah, they regret it.
Yeah, they regretted it, and today they are trying to show in with the like alternative Apple App Store, alternative Android App Store. They're trying to show in their way back into mobile, and possibly ABK deal was part of it, but they regretted that decision, and I'm afraid they might be doing the same thing again. So, like Google had the same problem back in the day. They did not have hardware; they had Android, and they were negotiating with Samsung. Samsung basically wanted to take them to cleaners. What did Google do? They bought Motorola for $8 billion. Motorola not only came with a hardware manufacturing capability, they came with the GSM patents, so Samsung had to agree to Google's terms.
A lot
So
of patents as well.
All right.
yes.
Let's
Anyway, I
get
talk too much, I think, but
No,
that's
you
the
made some
point.
good points, man. It's just
yeah, man.
I just shake my head when I think of the predicament that they're in, and you just look,
Yeah,
Yep.
just look, and it's like, how the hell did they do this? Like,
bruh. All right, let's give some time to the Game Pass tracker. Thank you, bro.
Hey, what's going on? My name is Garrett Atkins. I'm one of the founders over here at Game Pass Tracker. But yeah, I'm just going to touch on a few things I heard many of you guys say over the night because I popped in and out as my microphone wasn't working earlier. But there was measured to be about 600 and I believe 30 million console gamers in 2023, and 30 million is not that significant of a number in comparison to that, especially when the market grew about 7.5% year over year, and Xbox was not very responsible for that 7.5% year over year growth. And so, regardless of what strategy they're pursuing, which I I'm sure someone said it out of everyone that was in this X Spaces today, because there were so many ideas thrown out there. However, due to the fact that they're still tied up with the FTC, because I mean, if you guys, I mean, it's the first search result. If you search for it, I mean, there was documents as recent as January 24th submitted by, I believe, the FTC, if not both parties. So I mean, there's still very much, whether people like Florian believe that that's actually going to result in any negative impact or stipulations or concessions or problems for Microsoft. That's still something they're worrying about. And whenever it's, a 69 to $75 billion transaction, if you include fees, I don't think even a 0.01% chance makes anyone sleep well at night. So therefore, I think there's a lot of things that we're not being told. And I bet there's a lot, well, I don't bet, I know for a fact, just based on running my own businesses, that a lot of misdirection does happen during these things. And I don't know how much you guys were paying attention while they were really trying to battle it out with the CMA, but there was a lot of acting as weak as possible by Microsoft during the CMA proceedings. And then, of course, as soon as those closed up, Microsoft started showing a lot more strength, which is smart. That's good business. There's nothing wrong with that. That's what you should do if your job is to make a business a lot of money and acquire a large company. That was perfect. They did great. And they succeeded for the most part, other than the one concession, which is a big concession, but nonetheless. But that said, I think they're honestly just trying to take one step back so they can take two steps forward. And that said, the number one biggest gaming company in the world doesn't even focus on hardware like Nintendo, PlayStation, and Xbox do. So like everyone freaking out about it, I mean, I do know, because I'm a Xbox fan. I have PlayStation Plus tracker, Steam tracker, Game Pass tracker. I play mostly on PC, but Xbox is my favorite platform because consoles are still a lot more convenient than PC, in my opinion. Even if the graphics are slightly better on my 4090, I like the ecosystem. I like the community here on X and other social media platforms. But I think that what Xbox is doing is basically anybody's guess, with the FTC still going on, with them not being very transparent, which regardless of what the strategy is, lack of transparency is terrible. They could at least just acknowledge the lack of an update on what's going on with Activision Blizzard, anything on Call of Duty, because God only knows, so many people have just assumed, including my outlet. We've even put out content that basically assumed what we all assumed, was that one day Call of Duty would come to Game Pass, and one day, probably within the next quarter or two at the latest. Now, like, I don't feel that way too confidently at all. And I'm sure many people who are listening to this feel the same, especially after today's events, which isn't the best feeling in the world, especially after hanging your hat on an organization for such a long period of time. These organizations, though, make decisions based on data that we don't see every day. And like Tim was using the word, someone saw something that got, someone must have saw something that spooked them. And usually that's a CFO at a company will look at a number in a different way. They had never looked at a number before, or perhaps they had set certain internal goals. Pretend you acquired Bethesda, which was a while ago, yes, but pretend you acquired Bethesda, which is, huge, a massive acquisition that was only made to look small, but next to something like that, Activision Blizzard. It took a long time for the first major title to come out of there, which was Starfield. And I can only imagine, despite the fact that the numbers weren't terrible.
I'd say Redfall.
Yeah, sure, Redfall, but I honestly don't think that was something they weren't expecting at all whatsoever. I think that was fully an expectation. I played that game. I had a lot of fun with that game. That is a fun game. but that game, I don't think anyone. I mean, I've talked to developers who worked on Redfall. There were developers who literally thought they shouldn't have continued developing the game. I'm not the only one who's echoed the thoughts of developers who have felt that way. That was on the news in quite a few places. But I mean, if you play the game, many people have had fun with it. Some people didn't, but I mean, it's kind of shallow. And that's what I think of it. And I don't think that they thought it was going to be a big hit. I think Starfield probably was not hitting a certain metric. And actually, Colt Eastwood put out a good video. He had a name for this horizontal line. And I don't know if any of you guys saw it. And I usually don't watch his videos, admittedly, but this video was interesting. And he basically explained how it seems like their strategy is going to be where if a game is niche and does well, it'll be spread to other platforms. If a game is exclusive and big, but it doesn't do well, it'll be spread to other platforms. If a game is exclusive and does really well, but not super well, it'll stay exclusive. But if a game is exclusive and does like next level well, like a Minecraft, for example, or a Skyrim, then it will spread to other platforms. But the gist of what he was saying, and I agree with this, is that I think best case scenario for those who are hoping for a lot of exclusive titles, and I do mean best case scenario, that most games will end up on other platforms. I said 3 years ago, and I know most people in here will probably detest this, just like they did 3 years ago, that I think wholeheartedly that the strategy is not even to have consoles. I've been saying for 3 years that the goal is to just get Game Pass as an app on as many devices as possible, to do as much research and development as possible on cloud gaming. None of which they have, like, literally, they have no incentive to do any research and development or at least show us any improvement on cloud gaming until the FTC is closed. That has still not been closed for a single day yet. And so they have not really made massive improvements on cloud gaming. I'm sure any of you who've played it have noticed it's been about the same since they announced that Activision Blizzard acquisition. No big improvements, unless I'm missing something. And I use it probably once every 2 or 3 weeks, which is a lot for cloud gaming, especially when you have consoles and PCs. That said, I think that they're waiting for that to close, and I think they're going to announce some big changes and a lot of evolution for cloud gaming after the FTC is out of the way. And when that happens, their strategies that they've already talked about openly just a long time ago, and of course they're not going to talk about them recently because they were attacked for their cloud gaming by the CMA. But before they got into it with the CMA, they were talking about how they were going to have the streaming stick and all these other things. Those things aren't going to go away. Those things are going to get them in front of way more of that very large number of gamers than any amount of console sales would do, especially when they lost the most important console generation, which was the generation where people went from physical games to digital games. And there's really no coming back from that. So they went back to the drawing board and they had to reinvent the entire gaming industry. And if they weren't Microsoft, honestly, they wouldn't have been able to, but they're the one company who had enough cash in hand to do it. In fact, they had the most cash in hand out of any company at one point during the last 10 years. But that said, last time.
Game, can I ask you a question real quick before you leave?
It's Garrett, but yeah.
Yeah, Garrett. Let me ask you this question. I'm sorry, Garrett.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this question. And I'm doing a thought experiment real quick. Does anybody think that PC, PlayStation, Nintendo Switch, in terms of devices, are more massive in terms of being in someone's home than a television?
No, I hope not. But there is a lot more PC gamers than most people would think. It's 1.3 billion.
Right. So if you were to put Game Pass just for shits and giggles on, say, LG, Samsung TV, Hisense, TCL just for shits and giggles. Do you think they would be able to reach, say, 2 billion within, I don't know, 5 years, just doing that?
They can write. They literally can. I don't know how many TVs have Chromium browsers, but you don't have to have a Samsung TV to play. That's actually fake news. All you need, we actually did we were the first ones to ever report on this. All you need is a Chromium browser on your TV, and you type in xbox.com/play. So yeah, they can reach
Right,
that many right now. If
Yep.
they have an exclusive marketing agreement with Samsung, once that's up, yes, of course, I think they can reach. I don't know how many smart TVs with Chromium browsers out there, so I won't say numbers. But yeah, they're going to reach a lot more people than everyone else, and that's what they want to do.
right,
And if they have to get rid of a console
right.
just for a
So,
chance to put it on other
I think
consoles,
that's
they'll
the
do it.
problem.
Just
right,
nobody wants to play like that yet,
That
though.
That's
well
the
that's the thing you
problem.
wouldn't know because they haven't been able to talk about any improvements to cloud gaming because of the CMA and FTC. So I agree with you. I don't know either. I don't know if it's any better. You know, maybe it sucks just as bad as it does now for the next 3 years because I don't want to play like that either.
Sounds great, bro. Sounds great. All right, like M7 has been raising their hand. Like, so M7, go ahead, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. I think the real problem is I'm a fan of Xbox Game Pass, but I think the problem is that Xbox is too focused on Game Pass and building Game Pass and thinking that a lot of people outside of people who are in the Xbox ecosystem currently want to jump on Game Pass. I live in Asia, and the messaging for Xbox in Asia is very poor. And partially because I think Post Up was saying the main problem to me with Xbox is the marketing and how they're conveying what it's like to be on the platform. As I don't own a PlayStation, I always mostly owned Xbox, but I can't lie that with certain things going on for the past like 6 months or so, I've been teetering the line of like thinking, okay, maybe I do want a PlayStation, right? Or for reasons of like people bring up a lot of PlayStation exclusives, but to be honest, like games like Genshin and a lot of free to play type of JRPGs are on other platforms that aren't available on Xbox. So I just kind of really just wanted to say that me personally, I think them going so hard on Game Pass and kind of alienating their core fan base, what feels like, even if they're not trying to do it, it's just been feeling like that's what they've been kind of doing with, telling people you don't really need a console. Play on PC, play here, play there. Um, I just think they're getting the messaging and marketing wrong. And they've been doing this for a very long time. And
Yep.
I don't know how this works out for Xbox in the long term with them going
So
about it this way.
I have
Yeah,
a question for you, dude. You said you're in Asia. Like, how? Like, is it
yeah.
really weird that you only own an Xbox? Do you feel like alone on that?
Well, well, during the Xbox One, because during 360 I was like a teenager, so I didn't really like pay attention to it. But during the Xbox One era, it did really suck because there's no crossplay. So I'm locked to regional uh, servers, so there was barely people on. There was even a time where I know someone who did play on Xbox, and they told someone that they, had an Xbox, and people in Japan, they were like, "Oh, they still make consoles," type of thing. Like they were so shocked, and um, now they've gotten better. Like you can go into stores and they have like a small section for Xbox, but the problem is everything is Game Pass. It's not Xbox. The sign has the Xbox logo, but it just says Game Pass. So I think them thinking that people really want to go into a subscription service, to me, is one of the main problems, because even in Japan, and I'm pretty sure in America too, like, you guys go to stores, you walk in a store, like, you get promoted and marketed certain things all the time. When you go into it, that's why whenever you see these numbers of like Xbox not selling in Japan, the main reason is because people, when they go into the store, they get told what to care about. So when you see a lot of Nintendo, when you see a lot of PlayStation everywhere, the main consumer is going to think that that's something that they need to buy, or that's something they need to invest in. Xbox, especially here, and I've been saying, I try to, like, I'm not a big